Hello, hello, and welcome to your Living a
Am I?
Miracles call. This is Jared Krebs. I am coming at you live from San Antonio. Today is December 14th, 2018, and I am super excited about today's content because the 60 Minutes of Wisdom video that Nathan chose was awesome. So I'm excited to talk to you about it and hear everybody's comments and thoughts on it as well. So we're going to start the call like we always do by having everybody just tell us your name, where you're calling in from, and why you are excited about today's call. Who wants to go first? So Maria, you're unmuted. Or Stana, or Linda, or Nathan. Any of y'all can go.
I'll go.
Okay.
I'm Stana Warren. I live in Southeast Michigan, and I am excited to be here because this is an awesome group, and these discussions are usually amazing.
Yes.
Hello.
All right, Maria. I don't think Maria can hear me. I really don't.
No, are you on the phone?
All right, I'm gonna mute Maria. Okay. Linda, do you want to go, or Nathan?
Yeah, I'm glad to do this video. It was so good, so good. Oh my God,
Yeah.
it's having the best masterpiece in the world. So Ken Wapnick. I wish I could tell him, hey Ken, rock and roll, right Ken?
I know, he rocks.
Okay.
Are you in Lancaster, California?
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm in Lancaster, California, and I'm driving out today running errands. And I mean the clouds are out, and oh God. It feels like the New York cold, so I'm used to the New York cold, but today it was cold, like that, it was right there.
Yes.
So I'd like to get in, so I have my pillow over here and 2 blankets. Oh, my boyfriend was telling me I live on blankets, honey. I still hear his.
Love it. Thank you, Linda. All right, Maria, are you able to unmute yourself? I think she's trying to unmute herself. I'll unmute you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It worked. So this is Maria Boatman calling from New York City.
Yeah. And why are you excited about today's call?
I am excited about having this conversation with you guys.
Yes.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maria.
You're welcome.
Nathan Lively, my savior.
What up? Hey, it's Nathan in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Excited to be here to forgive all of you.
Thank you for forgiving me.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for saving me multiple times this last couple weeks. Actually,
Yeah.
shout out to you, Linda Pettigrew, for hosting the call last week. Great job. And Nathan, thank you for supporting Linda and being her tech support and the producer of the webinar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
My backbone, right, Nate?
what?
Nathan was my backbone, right,
That's
Nate?
right.
That's right.
And also I have to give shouts out both to Stana and Maria because both of you were fabulous on last week's call. I watched the whole call.
Fabulous.
Y'all just were throwing down knowledge bombs, progress. I was like cheering on when y'all were talking. And I was just like, man, it was awesome like seeing y'all just rock. So
Just rocking.
yes, thank you. And I wasn't going to be on today's call, but we did all of our anniversary activities yesterday night. And I was like, you know what? I got to be on tonight's call because I think we should take next week off, because it's like really close to Christmas. So I wanted to kind of I couldn't miss like too many weeks, you know what I'm saying? So, all right, so let's get started. Let's get right into it. So Nathan chose this video called 60 Minutes of Wisdom by Ken Wapnick. And I don't know where it exactly came from, but it sounds like one of his teachings when he talks about the text. and he just went off. And I did not listen to the entire 60 minutes, but the things that stood out to me the most in that time was the thing about how it's not about the behavior. It's not about my behavior. It's about making the decision. It's about getting back to the decision-making mind and getting above the battleground. And why I thought that was really what made me the most excited was the part where he talks about how, like, if or when we get back to that decision-making mind, that's literally the ego is done. Like, the ego is done. Like, it's over. It's over. Like, it's not hard. It's actually possible to do this, and we only think it's impossible just because that's what the ego wants us to think in this dream of illusion. So obviously that was very exciting, very motivating to me. Making an effort to stay above the battleground. I have some great forgiveness in the field for you also when we get to that point in the call. But that's really what I wanted to say was that, not giving myself a hard time if my behavior's not totally right on all the time with, like, if I get upset or if I get whatever, like, it's not about the behavior. It's just about going right back in that moment to above the battleground, not seeing myself as, not thinking I'm Jared Krebs, the body, but actually seeing above that. And I'm not the dreamer I'm not the figure in the dream. I'm the dreamer of the dream. And so among many, many other things, that was what stood out the most to me. So who wants to go next? What was your highlights from the 60 minutes of Ken Wapnick?
Well, I could go next. Well, I listened to the whole thing, and the last videos were the ones I think you, Jared, had chosen before. So we had listened to those. So, but the first one, this is just what stood with me when it says, like, it's understanding how we protect the decision for the ego that help us to recognize why there is a world, why there is a body, and why we cling to the illusion that there is a body is because all of this establishes that we are mindless. And if we are mindless, the decision for the ego remains fully present. I was like, okay, that is so good. And something else is, one way the ego gets us to be mindless is to make us believe that the thought of being separated is being really, really serious. That if we ever look at it, we will be destroyed. I was like, oh, God.
Yeah, and he said that the guilt isn't real. We think it's real, but it's really not.
Exactly. And so then he said the body cannot see guilt. The body cannot even see it. The body arose from the guilt for guilt's protection. And it protected by not seeing it. I protect the guilt because I want to protect myself. And then we have no mechanism to look within. No, the eyes cannot do it, the ears cannot do it, not even the brain can do it. So there is no way for us to look within. So okay, that's for the first video. And the only note I took for the second one is, once I interpret what you say and do through Jesus' ears instead of my own, I see your attack on myself or others as a call for love. There is no change in who I am because I have chosen to dwell on the reflection of heaven. And I thought, oh, this is such a great reminder that whatever people do to you at that moment, you have the choice. And if you get like whatever, like if you allow them to take your peace or your love, it's just because you're allowing them to do that, not because they are bad or anything. And it was such a good reminder for me today, especially.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's my notes for today.
Great notes.
Thank you.
All right, who's next?
I'll go next. Okay. In the first part, where he's talking about the Holy Spirit needs us to acknowledge our misery because that's how he can't teach us without the contrast. And so that we've got to actually recognize our discontent, because that's the only way that we can recognize our ego. And also that the problem is not the ego itself, it's our belief in the ego. So that it's very important not to make the ego the enemy, because then that gives the ego power. And I loved his analogy of talking about Plato's allegory of the cave, because that is such a powerful image. And he didn't go into a lot of detail, but the whole idea is that you've got prisoners that are chained, and he was talking about the sun, but my recollection is that there's a fire behind them and that it's not directly the sun that is causing the shadow. But I could be wrong about that. But anyway, the prisoners are sitting, and in my memory, there's a fire behind them, and they're seeing there are people walking behind the fire. And so they're seeing the shadows of the people walking behind the fire projected onto the wall. And the only thing they can see is the projection that's on the wall. And so they think that's what reality is. And then one of them somehow escapes and manages to go outside of the cave and sees the sun and realizes which is an argument for why he's talking about the sun. I've got to go back and reread that. But anyway, so once he goes out and he sees the sun and the brilliance of the reality of life, then when he goes back into the cave, he can never see those shadows in the same way again. And that's where, when we start to get to the point where we actually can get back to that moment of choice, so that we can see that it's the sun that's the reality and not those shadows that are projected on the wall. Even if we temporarily lose it, we can't ever really go back to being completely in the dark again, or completely at the mercy of those shadows. I also like the fact that he talked about the fact that you actually need to do both the lessons and the text, because the text is the heart of the teaching of what the ego's thought system is all about. And that you've got to have the philosophical understanding in order to make the meaning of those lessons applicable to your life. The other thing that I find interesting is that you've got to let go of the attachment to the ego. And again, I see so many similarities between Buddhism and Hinduism. And when he talks about being above the battle, that's exactly what's going on in the Bhagavad Gita. When Krishna is standing on the edge of the battlefield at Kurukshetra, talking to Arjuna, telling him that the battle he's about to go into is not a real battle. He's not going into battle with his family, because he's feeling terribly guilty because he's about to do this. And although interestingly enough, I did come across something this week, and I don't know if it was in these videos or if it was something else that I was reading, about the fact that you shouldn't mix things. So if you're going to study A Course in Miracles, you should study only A Course in Miracles. That's beyond my capability. I just see so many connections to the things that I've come across through my whole life. I mean, Plato, the Bhagavad Gita, Plato's Republic. I mean, it's just mind-boggling, and it's so brilliant. Every time we listen to one of these things, I get a little bit deeper understanding. But the thing that's also frustrating is that I sit there and I listen to it and I write down my notes and I think I've got it. And then when I try and explain it, I'm like going, okay, what was that again? Because it's so deep and there's so many levels to it that it's just amazing to think about the fact that we are so diabolical, that we have created this illusionary world, and that we're so good at hiding it from ourselves. So I really enjoyed these. And I too did not get through the whole thing, because I listened to the first 30 minutes so many times, because I, like you, Maria, I found that as I went on, I was hearing things I had heard before, and I thought it was more important to spend time on the things that were newer to me. And so the second part about the changeless dwelling place, and that the Holy Spirit is the memory of God's love and our identity as Christ that we took with us when we came into the dream. And that when we take the time, we can all understand the experience or the phenomenon of change, but we cannot understand the changelessness, because that's beyond the capability of this ego. But at the same time, even though our brain can't fully grasp it, that part of our real self can intuit it. So I think that's part of why I get so frustrated, because my little brain wants to explain it, and it's beyond words. But I have an intuitive understanding of it. So that's it for me. I'll shut up.
Reminds me of the Forgotten Song, or the Song of Prayer, like something so special that it's like you love it so much, and yeah, like you said, it's hard to put it into words, but it's there, and it's the truth, and it's like the only thing that is the truth, you know? Oh man, you took great notes. Really, really great. Both of you, Maria too, thank y'all. I loved it. Loved hearing all that. Linda Pettigrew or Nathan Lively?
I'll go.
All right.
Yeah, I watched the 60-minute video. I was like, whoa. I mean, it hits you. I mean, you keep the Holy Spirit within you. You feel the goodness you have within you, and you know you could do it. Hey, I mean, if you allow your ego to be there, duh, you do it for the good as well. It's that simple. So it's, and plus, I do my 10-step moral inventory to give myself a good check every now and again. So that way, I try to do my best to be positive with everybody, family, friends, homeless people, even my enemies. And I do the best I can. I'm not perfect. But Course in Miracles teaches me just to be better. Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm still loved by God no matter what. But it helps me to have more confidence that I'm better with people. That's why I'm doing A Course in Miracles. And I'm so blessed to be in this group. And I'm glad I'm here. All you guys are my second family.
That's right.
And Lucy says hello. She misses you. She's laying on the floor.
Tell Lucy, Uncle Jared, Aunt Maria, Aunt Stana, Uncle Nick.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, she misses you all. Right, Lucy?
Thank you, Linda. Love it. You got through the whole 60 minutes, too. Rock and roll.
Rock and roll. Let's go. Starts on 45.
Okay, Nathan Lively.
Hey. Took a few notes.
It's time for you to say stuff.
I'm saying stuff. Okay. All right. So I guess it was about 5 or 6 videos in that video. I don't know how I came across that either. I think I just opened up YouTube one day and it said, hey, you probably want to watch this. And I said, I do. So the first one was There Must Be Another Way. Everything I'm doing is not really working to give me the peace that I really want. That was important for me because I feel like I remember learning early on that, hearing somewhere that the Course seems to be more helpful or connect more with people who not like super uber successful people in life, but the people who are sort of struggling in life. Like, it sort of makes more sense to them. And so I felt sort of validated like that, about that, like thinking like, oh, because I'm not achieving worldly success, at least I'll be good at the course. And I don't really feel that way anymore. And so sometimes I was sort of confused, thinking like, well, if I had a good day today and sort of got some things I wanted in the world, does that mean like I'm not going to be as good as the course anymore because I'm less pissed off and angry? But not really, because I think what he made clear in this video, at least in this beginning part, is that whatever is happening in the world, if I look inside, I'm still not really getting the peace that I want, or it's temporary, you know? And so even if I got what I wanted today, I still know I have some anxiety about replicating that tomorrow. I appreciate what he said about trying to stifle or destroy the ego, just making it more difficult. And that's helpful for me, especially, you know, hearing other people's teachings. There's other people's teachings that I really like, but when they get, you know, when they get to the part about destroying the ego or removing it, you know, I just sort of ignore that stuff. Because the ego is not the problem, our belief in it is. Yeah, there's a whole explanation about the world being based on fear. Cool, yeah, that was the first video. Oh, the Holy Spirit is the memory of God's love. That was pretty cool. I really like this idea about being able to act in the world without anxiety or fear. And I think we've heard that a lot in several of the recent videos we've watched from Ken. He talks about this. I think it's sort of changing my idea about what the pursuit is. Like, I'm not just trying to become enlightened so that I have like magic powers. I'm not trying to become enlightened to just maybe not come back for another lifetime, but also so that I can just be more peaceful in this lifetime. And that doesn't mean stop going to work and go and meditate on a hill, but that means just doing the same stuff I'm doing now, but without anxiety and fear. And that means that you become oblivious to attack thoughts. So the way I think about Jared hasn't really changed, but everything I perceive is an expression of love. What else? I got a couple more. Oh yeah, my anger at you keeps us separate. There are painful effects of our choice for the ego. So that's the closing of the gap, right? The goal of the course is to help us close the gap between cause and effect and see that our choice for the ego, painful effects. Let's see, tiny mad idea. We made up a world where we could be separate. God will kill me because I killed him. Don't let other people's ego take away your love and peace. And when I think it was Bill asked, you know, why did the tiny mad idea happen? The answer is, why would you wonder why something happened long, long ago when you're still choosing it right now? And then the last one was getting in touch with fear. So the ego is a package deal, right? We either believe in all of it or none of it. And he pointed out the ego is a perfectly logical, consistent thought system, bringing from the premise that we have separated from our source. I thought this was good. No one in a body escapes selfishness. Just like there's so many things that are just true, you know, like if you are experiencing this, if you're upset, it's never for the reason that you think it is. If you believe in one part of the ego, then you believe in all parts of the ego. And this is part of that. No one in a body escapes selfishness. And the last thing I wrote, it kind of like, is we are very comfortable with a God that wants to destroy us, because that means we are separate. So we're like really invested in this idea, as terrifying as it is, and like sort of what is that? But as long as we keep believing that, then we also get to keep believing that we're separate and believing this lie that we're on our own now, and also God's coming to get us, and we're guilty, and we live in this world built on fear. That's all I got.
That's a lot. That's fire. That's Nathan Wapnick style. Man, good stuff, Nathan. I like what you said about the belief in guilt. And it jogged my memory on the veils. You know, like it started with the decision-making mind feeling really guilty about like the separation or the tiny mad idea, and then the feeling of guilt led to the first veil of body and world. And then when body and world are happening and we think we're here, the next veil is blaming everyone else and projecting our guilt onto the other people. And that's the I guess you could say the third veil. And once the belief in guilt happened, then the veil happened where the body can't recognize that it's coming from the mind, and then the body stays stuck blaming other bodies over here. And here's the veil. And all we have to do is basically go above the battleground, right back here where this original decision was made, and stay there. And forgiveness is still and quietly does nothing. It merely looks and waits and judges not. Remember when he said that?
Yep.
I don't think he said it in that video, but do you guys remember when he said, take that and write it down and put it in your car and put it on your mirror in your bathroom? And I did that. I wrote it down, and I my car, it says, forgiveness is still and quietly does nothing. It merely looks and waits and judges not. And that's what I do, what I look at when I have my road rage. Nathan, thank you, man. I mean, dude, you just like said it all. I mean, you like covered all the metaphysics of the course. So that was awesome. Do you study this like every morning, or like what's your practice with these? Because you really got a lot of it.
Yeah, I do. I listen to them a little bit for about 10 minutes every morning after I meditate and take a few notes. So I just have my notes open while I'm listening to it. And I don't know, similar to you guys. But I went one step farther, and I didn't just write that sentence on a note card from my road rage. I actually got it tattooed on the inside of my eyelid.
Oh my
So
God.
every time I close my eyes, I see it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Try that. Maybe we should do that for our gang.
Sure.
Thank you, Nathan. Lovely.
Yeah.
Let's transition to forgiveness in the field. Let's do 3 minutes each. I'm going to start the clock. 3 minutes or less. Okay, here we go. So, in forgiveness in the field world, yesterday was our anniversary, and so we had tickets to Phantom of the Opera, and then we're going to go to dinner before and have sake and you know, sushi, and that's like our thing at Sushi. And we had plans to leave at like 4:30, but we didn't leave until 5:30, which kind of cut our sushi, our dinner time, like down to like 40 or 50 minutes. Like you want more time, you know, and you're going out to something like a special dinner. And the reason why we were late is because I didn't get to the workout fast enough. And so I felt guilty I caught my guiltiness, and then I projected it onto Crystal. And I said, well, yeah, we left at 5:30, but you also weren't ready at 5:30. But it's okay. It's a big learning experience. But it was so subtle, right? Like here I am, like trying to like, I feel guilty. I'm trying to project my guilt onto Crystal because she also wasn't ready at 5:30 or by 5, you know, like she was late too. But it's because I felt guilty that I was trying to find a reason for her to be guilty, right? Project that. And so we're driving to the restaurant, and I said, baby, oh my God, I just projected my guilt onto you. I said, I feel guilty. I projected it onto you. And we both laughed. And it was like a really neat moment because we caught the ego dynamic in action. You know, like that's probably mostly a subconscious thing that we do as egos is blame and project the guilt. And that's just natural. That's just what we do. But I caught it. And then when we caught it, we laughed, and we had a great dinner. We only were there for about 40 or 50 minutes, and then we got our little Uber over to the Phantom of the Opera. So that being said, that was a pretty big win for me and Forgiveness in the Field. And I've had other times in the last 2 weeks for sure that I got upset or annoyed. And then I'm like, and every time I'm like, fail. And I say it kind of joking, but you know it just occurred to me that like the most important thing in my life, the most important thing to me in this illusion is how it is like catching that and like getting better at that and like being kinder, especially to the people I'm with a lot, like my wife, like the special relationships, you know, and turning them into holy relationships. So that's what I got with 3 seconds to spare. Who's next?
I am next. Okay. I felt, okay, if you had seen me a couple of nights ago, you would easily have thought that I was like 5 years old. I was cutting a piece of cake, and I cut them like, so then I want the bigger piece for me. But my daughter is like, oh no, I want that one too. I am like, no, you know, I can share this. When I came back to myself, I am like, did I just did that? Like I was doing that? And then all this shame and guilt just came over me. I am like, I can't believe that. Oh my God. So I was just like, okay, that's life with the ego. And I forgave the whole thing. But it was really, really hard to see my ego in action so openly and so like unashamed or whatever. Yeah, it was a good one. It was really good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Way to go. You caught it though. You caught it. You might have caught it a little late, but you caught it.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
And the guilt isn't real. That's just the funniest part. It's like, exactly. I felt guilty because I was late, and you felt guilty because you wouldn't share the cake. And we feel guilty, but the guilt's not real, and all we have to do is look at the guilt.
Yeah.
And then we can laugh.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the meaning of a happy dream.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So great. Do you have anything else? You got a minute left.
I am okay.
That's it? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maria.
You're welcome.
All right. Who's next? Forgiveness in the Field. I think Linda's raising her hand. Go ahead, Linda.
I guess my forgiveness in the field, I have to do better on my diet. I mean, that's if I can maybe conjoin with my schedule, and if I don't get too tired. Oh my God, when you start getting older, you do get more tired. Because from dinner time on, I am like, Good night. In my younger days, I was like an ever-ready battery, no problem. Even 11 o'clock at night, I'll go to bed. I had a lot of energy. But now it's like I find myself, I need to rest more. But I have to forgive myself to allow myself what happens just simply happens. Just keep it simple. Take it easy.
Mhm.
That's the best I can do. Thanks.
Great job, Linda.
Hey,
All right, Nathan.
so let's see. Oh yeah, did I? Oh shit, I was about to do one. Did I already say about last week someone attacking me on the internet? Maybe that
Yes.
happened last week. Yeah, I already said that. Shit, that's what I was gonna say.
That means you've had a week of zero forgiveness necessity.
Not at all. Not at all. Just maybe nothing's coming to my mind at this very moment.
Gary Renard says that's reason for celebration.
Yeah.
A day or a week where you don't have much to forgive.
Yeah.
You didn't get mad at Ellis all week.
I'm sure it totally did. So yeah, so I'll just share one thing since you jogged my memory a little bit. So my wife deals with anxiety just like everyone else does. Hers is a little bit more intense, stemming from various issues from her childhood, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of it, though, I feel like she tends to, it seems, from the outside, it seems, a lot of it seems self-created. And I just have to observe. So things have been going pretty good for her, it seemed like, recently. And then she decided that she was going to enter herself into a weightlifting competition in a few months. And now she's like talking about meeting trainers, and she's telling me about having like stress dreams last night about the stuff she has to do today. And I so badly just want to be like, why are you doing this? Like, you have an opportunity to like reduce anxiety and stress in your life, but you're just like adding more and more things. And I've gotten better at it, but one of the things that I do now that helps is like when that came up yesterday, I think, or this morning, I just, before I even say it now, sometimes I just switch over to, you know, not even really listening to her anymore. I just start saying, "Your Christ, wholeness, and all is forgiven and released," and just like the whole thing just kind of dissipates, you know, because my most common prayer in the morning is, I'm not here to change the world, but instead to change the way I think about the world. And I feel like the more I focus on that, the more I can have kind of these moments where someone does something and I want to be like, I gotta change you, or I gotta show you how I'm the victim and you're the victimizer. But instead, I have a really a nice moment there where I remember.
Yeah.
So that was my forgiveness in the field.
Love it, man. Dude,
Yeah.
you just like totally, I don't know. You said something at the end, it just made me feel so peaceful. You said, it's my job is not to change the world, it's just the way to change the way I think about the world. And I'd heard that before, but I don't know, right in this very moment you said that, I was like, I'm happy now.
Oh man, speaking of road rage, Jared, that one is so helpful for me when I'm like late to go somewhere and then there's like traffic and there's just things, like so many things, and I want to blame it on other people. And if I can just remember like, hey, I'm not here to change the world. Like, even if like this whole thing gets fucked up because I was late and like I don't make it on time for this meeting, like really what I need to do is change what I think about that. And not like, I can't get out of my car and fly. So here I am.
Yeah, love it, man. Wow, well, thank you for sharing. Very good contribution.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Awesome. Wow, look at us ending 20 minutes early. I'm impressed. Man. We're efficient. We're in and out. Um, so, all right.
Can
So,
Do we still have a minute? Because
yeah, sure.
I don't have a forgiveness in the field.
Oh, Stana, I forgot about you.
No, but I don't have a forgiveness in the field. I hardly go out these
I
days.
forgot about you. I'm sorry. Take 30 minutes. Talk about whatever you want.
Well, what I want to do is read a piece of Lesson 109.
Feel so guilty.
Why? Don't feel guilty.
Just kidding.
I can. Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
Because talking about this of getting caught up and living with anxiety, and a couple of times this week, this lesson, even though I'm way past this one, Marianne Williamson in her weekly talk 2 weeks ago talked about Lesson 109, and it's been with me ever since because it is just so powerful. And I just want to read a couple of paragraphs, not the whole thing because it's really long. But Lesson 109 is I rest in God. And the second paragraph is I rest in God. My glasses up, I can read better. I rest in God. This thought will bring you the rest and quiet, peace and stillness, and the safety and happiness you seek. I rest in God. This thought has power to wake the sleeping truth in you, whose vision sees beyond appearances to that same truth in you, whose vision sees beyond appearances, whose vision sees beyond appearances to that same truth in you, in everyone, everything there is. Here is the end of suffering for all the world and everyone who ever came and yet will come to linger for a while. Here is the thought in which the Son of God is born again to recognize himself. I rest in God, completely undismayed. This thought will carry you through storms and strife, past misery and pain, past loss and death, and onward to the certainty of God. There is no suffering it cannot heal. There is no problem it cannot solve, and no appearance but will turn to truth before the eyes of you who rest in God. So,
wow.
That's my mantra. I rest in God.
Wow.
That's good.
That's really awesome. There is no safety in the battleground. When you're in the middle of a battleground, there is no safety. We try and have safety from with our house and our vitamins and our whatever we do. And ultimately, there's no safety. And the only safety is to go above the battleground and rest in God. And obviously, still, make money, still take vitamins, still take care of health, whatever. But resting in God, like you said, really great way to end the call, Stana. Thank you. And no forgiveness opportunities this week? Wow, rock on.
Well, except for myself. There's tons of things I can forgive myself for, but nothing I had to forgive other people for, or forgive myself in relation to other people.
Sure. Oh, yeah, forgiving yourself is probably the main thing, I know I struggle with that every day. I think for me is like running late and being late to things or like not getting my to-do list going early enough. Like there's millions of reasons, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay. Well, great call. So what do y'all think about taking next week off? Are y'all cool with that? Does anyone want to host without me or everyone's cool with taking a week off? Okay.
Let's do it.
I don't
All right, so we'll take a week off.
know.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll take the 21st off, and I'm going to be in Utah anyways, so that's going to be better for me too. Looks like someone's getting a call. I'm going to mute you, Linda. And we'll be back on Friday, December 28th. Who wants to choose the videos?
I will.
Stana. All right. Hey, feel free to post them anytime. You don't need to wait, because we'll watch them over the next 2 weeks.
Right.
Might be better to actually have a little more time with them too.
Yeah.
So, and it can be 30 or 60 minutes even. I don't know, whatever you feel led to do. Since we have 2 weeks.
You know something? I think you guys have listened a lot of videos that joined late haven't listened to.
Uh-huh.
So I think at some point it would be a good idea to take like the first videos you guys listen to for us to listen to them too.
Sure. Hell yeah. I wouldn't mind hearing those videos again.
Yeah, they're all in the playlist.
Yeah, they're there. Oh, well, yeah, okay. We can do that.
Well, they're on the first playlist because Kelly has made 2 playlists. So the first playlist has like from the very beginning.
Okay.
And Stana, feel free to select some of those or new ones, whatever.
Yeah,
You,
yeah, because like the first time I chose, I've got my whole list, and then found that everything on my list you'd already listened to, so I had to start again.
yeah, it's pretty hard right now to find new stuff we haven't listened to, honestly.
Well, just out of curiosity, not for now, and I'm not trying to redirect things, but would you guys be open? I mean, do you specifically want to stick to Ken Wapnick, or would you be open?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah, and by the way, I haven't really explained this to you or Maria, but the way that we kind of created this was with Gary Renard's guidance.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I talk to him on my personal counseling sessions, it's kind of like, where do we take the book club? Where does Arten and Persa want us to take the book club? And so we're being guided by them. And so I think what we're going to do is very soon the Jesus and Buddha book will be out on audio. And we will listen to that. Hopefully it's available early next year. So I'll be asking Gary. Remember, we're going to have Gary Renard himself on this call on January 4th. And you 5 or 4 of you are going to get first questions. You are our most consistent people.
Yay.
But there's probably going to be like, hopefully 20 people on. We usually have quite a nice little crowd when Gary gets on. But we'll talk to him about that on that call and see where Arten and Persa maybe feel led to lead us.
Who is Arten and Persa?
Arten and Persa are the ascended masters that came to Gary Renard in the Disappearance of the Universe. And Gary is able to
read that. That should be one of my goals, to read that book.
Yeah. So just a side note, really fast. So that book is what got me into the Course in Miracles, or A Course in Miracles. My wife found that as an audiobook. She was in Hawaii and she went to Doreen Virtue's angel card reader thing, and she somehow Doreen Virtue talked about this audiobook called The Disappearance of the Universe. And I literally had A Course in Miracles, and I just didn't want to read it. It looked like a Bible. It looked way too long. I did not want to read it. I left it on the shelf for like 3 years. But when I heard The Disappearance of the Universe, I was like, this is how I can stop reincarnating. This is why I wanted to be a Buddhist monk. But I can still be normal. I don't have to be a Buddhist monk. And I can forgive. It's not about letting go of the desires. It's about forgiveness. And when like all those things came, like when I heard that audiobook, like everything just lined up for me. And I'm like, that my commitment level just went, I said, I don't care how hard that book is. I'm going to read that book like my life depends on it. And I basically have done that since 2015. That's been like my, and I did all 365 lessons for 2 years. Now I'm reading the text, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that book started it all for me, Stana. So, and then I sought out Gary Renard. So I became, I was on his email list, and I didn't know him. He's like my hero, but I didn't know him. And he put out an email, I think it was about maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago. He's like, I'm feeling led to do personal counseling sessions. And if you want an hour with me for, it's $295, and I will meet with you for an hour and talk to you about Course in Miracles and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, and I was the first one literally, that email came out at like whatever time, and like an hour later, I was like typing, like, sign me up, put me in. And we already had this club. We already had this Living A Course in Miracles group. And all we did for the first 6 months was listen to the Disappearance of the Universe audiobook, like over and over. We would start from the beginning and get to the end, and then we'd start over. Nathan, were you part of that? Were you ever part of that, Nathan?
Yup.
You were part of us listening to it over and over too? Or just
I heard it at least once, maybe twice.
Okay.
Yeah, because I started and I was with you guys, and then I dropped out for a few months, and then I came back.
Yeah, and you probably dropped out because we kept listening to the same day audiobook.
God damn it. Yeah. I had already read it a couple times by that point.
I know. So
Before I joined the book club.
exactly. And our name wasn't always Living A Course in Miracles. We were called Disappearance of the Universe for a while. I'm like telling you the whole story of this call. But the end,
I don't understand why you guys didn't move on and read the other books. The other books are amazing.
Yeah.
Because of having to read.
They're not audio books.
They're not audio. Yeah. The only book we've actually ever physically read was when the Jesus and Buddha book came out, because it was brand new and it was fresh, and we literally would read a chapter at a time. I mean, you know, we could actually read something. Gary, actually, Art and Persa, Art and Persa was like, hey, why don't you read the Ken Wapnick Journey Through the Text with the book club? And I'm like, oh man,
That's like 8 volumes long, isn't it?
I mean, it's what I'm personally studying, but like that's a lot of work. Like if you were to read and to really understand, let's say 10 pages a week, we'd all be reading an hour a day for the whole, just to be ready for the call.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm already on chapter 24 too. So I told him, I said, no, let's just keep listening to Ken Wapnick. Is that okay? Is that okay, Art in Person? Anyway, so I don't know where I was going with all that, but now we're out pretty much out of time. But yeah, but I do know. So Art and Persa are ascended masters that appeared to Gary Renard and taught him about the Course.
Okay.
And gave him all the insight that he has that's basically helped probably tens of thousands of people understand the Course, including yours truly. So highly recommend that book. We were founded on that book.
Okay.
And
Well, I have the book. I just haven't read it yet.
yeah, it's huge. I've never read it. But the audiobook is what I listen to like over and over and over and over. So either one though. I know you're a reader, Stana. It's not hard for you.
Yeah, well, because I'm a visual person. So
Yeah. It's phenomenal how much you read. So, okay. Well, then we will see you in 2 weeks. We will be back here December 28th. Stana will be posting the videos. And I hope y'all have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
I guess Merry Christmas. We'll see you before the New Year.
Yes.
But Merry Christmas. I love you guys.
Merry Christmas too, right, Bunny? Huh? When you answer?
Lucy.
Bye, Lucy.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Good
everyone.
night and God bless.
Good night and God bless.
And love to your pets
Good.
too, okay?
All right. Bye.
Bye.